what he pulls out, I think people, maybe YouTubers and Redditors and comments, are going to go crazy over. If you know anything about Jehovah's Witness history, the fact that they have the guts to start talking and creating a discussion or a drama around something like this is insane. One of the biggest events for Jehovah's Witnesses every year is the convention.
It's time for another convention. Yes, that's right, another year has gone by. Now, of course, it's always exciting to arrive at the convention, anticipating what spiritual gems await.
This is a 3-day program that's put on by Jehovah's Witnesses all around the world for 8 million people. And basically, you go for 3 days, you get up early, your family, you're excited, you travel, sometimes long distances to a large venue, maybe a football stadium, something like that. And you basically listen from early in the morning to late in the afternoon to Bible talks. Doesn't sound exciting, it's not very exciting, but because it's anything that's different about the week for Jehovah's Witnesses, it's quite a big deal. It's the only thing that's really going on for Jehovah's Witnesses that's interesting and exciting. You know, when people say you don't celebrate birthdays or whatever, it's like, oh, but we have the convention, maybe. That's exciting. Now, in those 3 days, it's really just Bible talks, maybe some interviews, that kind of thing. But the exciting bit is they have what's called the drama.
The drama is sometimes a little bit overwhelming.
It's basically, well, when I was growing up, I would go to the convention every year, like a good Jehovah's Witness. A local congregation would be assigned to kind of host that drama. They would dress up with fake beards, go out onto the field in the middle of the stadium. They would act along to pre-recorded audio given by Bethel, and that would be the drama. So, you know, someone in Bethel records some biblical account of the Red Sea splitting open, and you would have, you know, Bob from round the corner with a large fake beard stood in the middle of the football stadium with a rod pretending to split the sea. That was the idea growing up. Now, and obviously for cults, that's not ideal. You want to standardize everything. You don't want one convention having Bob do it perfectly and another convention the guy slips on the field and the audio goes out of sync. And no, you want to standardize it. So what they've done in the last couple of years, instead of that model, they've changed to just pouring money into their film department. And basically, world headquarters in America would film, put visual effects, action sequences into a pre-recorded movie. And then at the convention, they would set up these large screens and you would just sit in the football stadium. You literally just sit there and you watch this film that they've recorded. Why you can't do that in your own home? Cult's gonna cult. Previous highlights of this drama have included how to shun properly, how to not blame God for your child's death, and any death, really. I don't know if that's the proper names, but Bethel kind of realised that, you know, people look forward to the drama. It's the exciting bit of the convention. So what they've started to do in the last couple of years is drop a trailer a few months before to kind of build up excitement. You know, this is the kind of movie and production quality we're going to look forward to seeing at the convention. This year, though, instead of waiting for this trailer, we can do something that has never, ever in history been done before, I believe.
Oh my God. That's kind of exciting.
We're going to look at the convention drama months and months before the conventions even begin. Months and months before the trailer even drops. Now, to be clear, I have to be very, very clear. I will not be releasing any videos. I don't have any videos to release. We're not going to be looking at any scripts. What we can do, though, I've been told, is use an ex-Bethelite's memory to piece together information and to kind of come up with an idea of what the 2023 convention drama may be. Now, obviously, we would be using an ex-Bethelite's memories and things, so maybe things have changed in the meantime, and maybe, you know, there's lots of different reasons why those memories may not be 100% accurate, but we're going to get a good gist of, at the very least, what a convention drama could look like. Maybe it's not this year, maybe it's next year, maybe they've changed the plan completely, but we can accurately build up a picture of what a convention drama that may or may not have been in production would look like. I hope that's the right terminology. So hopefully that's covered kind of my back a little bit, and we will now just jump in to the drama for 2023. And yeah, here we go. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about just before we get into it. I'm going to try and present this information with as little kind of opinion as possible. So we're just going to go through the scenes, go through and look at this imaginary script. And honestly, it's my hope that kind of other witnesses, other Redditors, YouTubers, whatever, kind of pick apart the content of the script. So therefore, I'm going to try and keep moving, keep going forward. There's a lot to get through. And yeah, I will try and keep my opinions. Sometimes there's a few things that I really want to just complain about. But generally, I'm going to try and keep it as, I was going to say factual, not factual. I was going to try and keep it as analytical or as clean, as little opinions as possible. That's what I'm going to try and give, hopefully, through this probably very long recording. We're going to split it just like they do with the drama. So we'll go through the first part of the imaginary drama and the second part of the imaginary drama in two different videos. And without further ado, I'm going to try and find somewhere that I can sit back, and we're just going to look at an imaginary 2023 convention drama. And here we are. This is it. The first time ever we get to peer into the minds of Bethel and see or paint the convention for 2023 months in advance. It's pretty exciting. It's pretty cool. There's quite a few different characters in this. I'm just going to call them by the titles. So it'll be mother, father, son, daughter, old elder, young elder, and uncle. As you can see, I've got an iPad with me with some notes on. Yeah, it may look like I'm reading, but it's just because I've got some notes here that help jog memories and ideas that I've had. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's have a look at this. So the whole drama is about commitment to Jehovah. That's the real theme here. The drama opens with an African village. Yes, we're in an African country, not an American or European one. So immediately we're aware this isn't being filmed in America. This is being done by a Bethel outside of America. This has been done before once, I believe, or maybe twice. And we have a father and a son, father mid-30s, son about 12. They are selling things at the market made of wood. And we just get a lot of banter about, hey, what type of wood is this, Dad? And the dad responds, well, this wood is strong, like you, my son. And this one is durable. And Jehovah makes them all durable and strong, just like you. And all this nonsense. Lots of banter. And you just get the impression that actually this is a normal Jehovah's Witness family of love. That's the picture that's being painted. But then we start to look around the market and we see two people at the literature cart in the market. Literature cart, this trolley service that Jehovah's Witnesses do. One of them being old elder, one being young elder, which is a little bit strange. You don't normally see elders together on cart witnessing, at least in my experience. But alas, we'll let it slide. By the way, young elder specified in my imaginary notes as late 20s, which is interesting. If you know anything about what's being done or what's being pushed at the moment in Jehovah's Witness world, being a young elder is something they're really hot on. Appointing, making young people mid, late 20s elders, which is kind of crazy. I mean, I was one of them, but these individuals are there to shepherd the congregation, to discipline them. These are the ones making decisions of who gets thrown out the congregation. These are the ones making decisions of if a child should be believed when they make accusations of child sexual abuse, this kind of thing. And into this committee or into this room making these decisions walks a 25-year-old. That's what Jehovah's Witnesses are pushing at the moment. Anyway, we've got a young elder and old elder, he's about 70. They're on the cart together. Then we cross over and we see that there's also two young people putting up political posters. So immediately we know which direction this drama's going. There's an upcoming election and they want you to vote for their favourite person. Once the father and the son are done with their stool, they go over to the trolley to say hi. There's lots of hugging and whatnot. They ask old elder, are you still coming round for family worship? Old elder says, yes, I'll see you there. I said I would keep these comments to a minimum, but I do find it strange that there can't be a normal social interaction for Jehovah's Witnesses. You can't just go round for dinner. You can't just go to the park. It should be, come round for dinner and we'll do family worship. Let's go to the park and preach on the way. There's always got to be this Jehovah's Witness flavour to everything you're doing with your life, because the world is ending. So what's the point in doing anything else? It's a little bit, some may say, cultish.
Whoo! Danger, danger, danger.
Anyway, let's carry on. They all leave the market, and as they're leaving, you notice that there's another young person spraying graffiti on the posters, on these political posters, not for the government, but for a political leader. Oh yeah, I did forget someone. There's another character, the political leader. Because I'm big-headed, we're just going to call them Ben. But Ben's name is being sprayed on some stall owners, like wall or something, and the stall owner gets mad and there's some hustle and bustle going on. But it doesn't really affect our characters. They leave the market. They walk home and they arrive to their modest family home. And that's where we meet the mother of the family and the daughter. And what were they doing the whole day? Of course, they were cleaning and doing the household duties that Jehovah's Witnesses expect women to be doing in the house. In this instance, we catch them as they're hanging out laundry, so they all meet outside. What's really cringe about this is the mother and the daughter are humming kingdom songs, or not even kingdom songs, but original songs that Jehovah's Witnesses have come up with. So again, you can't just hum your favourite Harry Styles song. You can't just hum, that classic Madonna that you love. Maybe they were gay references. You have to hum Jehovah's Witness original songs to be a good Christian, to end up as a model Christian in this drama. And it's draining, isn't it? That's what they're doing. We meet the family. The kids start playing football or something, or soccer for the Americans. They just, catch up and whatnot. Oh, there's another character I forgot. This is not going well. Oh, so there's another character, the Bible study. Now, the Bible study is studying with the mother, and the Bible study is pregnant. So she shows up and she's like, hey, how's it going? I didn't sleep well. The baby was kicking all night. And the mother just is, they're catching up and being classic witnessy, fake, love bombing. And what's really annoying then is that the Bible study creates this conversation that maybe it does exist, but I've never seen, where the Bible study is like, well, you, talking to the mother and the father, you're such great parents. You're always teaching your children the best ways and all of this. And it's annoying that in this imaginary drama, it's there because it's trying to imply to the audience that people are in awe of our teaching ability as witnesses, that people want to be just like us. And also it's covering over the fact that the things that the parents are teaching their children are things like gay people are disgusting, that women belong in the house, that they shouldn't, get jobs, that no one should be striving for success or have any kind of self-worth, that you need to give your entire life to this American organization that dictate everything you do. There's a number of things that the parents are teaching their children, including if you or anyone leave or decide they don't want to be a witness, don't talk to them ever again. There are many dangerous, damaging teachings that are going on. But in this scenario, the Bible study goes, well, it's wonderful. You're such great parents. And how does the mother respond? Well, this is a Jehovah's Witness drama. So, of course, she goes, well, it's not us. It's not me. We're not good parents. Jehovah is the good parent. Redirect that praise to God. Anyway, they continue talking. They arrange the next Bible study. And as she leaves, the father notices that she was there and comes out to talk to the mother. And they have possibly the strangest discussion of the whole drama. The mother, and in this imaginary notes that I have, it says playfully, but it still doesn't, I would say, take out the toxic, insane nature of what she says. She says, what do you think will come first? Her baby or her baptism? Whoa, that's wild. I can't really believe that that's there. It's basically putting pressure on her to get baptized. It's just a really strange notion. I did say I'll try and keep the commentary to a minimum, so I'll leave it at that. But this is potentially what we're going to see in the drama this year. What an interesting statement. They continue, they laugh about that. And the father continues making wood stuff to sell at the market. And then we get to the next scene. It's a little bit later in the afternoon. And a new, shiny, black 4x4 rolls up.
You can take my hand, let's win the race.
It's Brittany, bitch.
Now, immediately, for Jehovah's Witness drama, we all know whoever is in this car is a bad character. They are working full time. They are not doing what they should be in terms of being a witness, all of the duties. They're probably going to try and drive our main characters away from Jehovah. They're just going to be a bad person because of the sin of working for yourself to get money, spending that money on things you choose, and then letting the things you choose to spend money on be seen by others. That is a huge sin for Jehovah's Witnesses. So we know that this black SUV that any normal person would just go, nice car, that notion doesn't exist. It's immediately, how could you spend that much money on the car? So this car shows up, and what happens is the children are playing football with this ball, and that hits the car a little bit. And then the children get into a fight about whose fault it was and whatnot. And the parents kind of get involved and basically kind of awkwardly correct the children. And we're going to talk about this at family worship this evening, which is such a strange, damaging parenting technique. Also worth noting, in that discussion of, whose fault is it with the kids and whatnot, the mum says the words in the imaginary drama, family, look out for one another, which I just thought was hilarious because as someone whose Jehovah's Witness family ignore my existence and haven't spoken to me since the day I said I didn't believe fully in Jehovah's Witness teachings, family do not always look out for one another if family are Jehovah's Witnesses. And yet they had enough confidence to put that line in. Anyway, then the father's like, we're going to talk about this at family worship. And then the person who owns the car gets out. Who is it? Uncle. Yes, the father's brother. He gets out. He's not worried about the football or anything. He doesn't care. I think insinuating he's got so much money. He comes out and he's got gifts for everyone. And the father's a bit annoyed. He's like, you don't have to bring a gift every time. Again, showing he's got money. He likes to treat his family, which is bad for Jehovah's Witnesses. This is a bad trait. And the uncle says, don't worry, it's my old handset. So even though it seems new to you, it's my old one. I've got a new one. Again, adding to the fact that uncle is bad. This is lining up to be the worst character. Anyway, uncle asks how the family business is going, and the father responds, well, my carpentry stuff, it's been slow, we're getting by. And that is great for Jehovah's Witnesses. If you're just getting by, if you're just scraping along, doing enough so you don't starve, that's the best financial position you could be in. You are gold for Jehovah's Witnesses. The uncle continues talking, and it's basically like, you've done great, you've built this house, and mum and dad would be really proud of you. And then we just stop for a moment to let that sink in, that their parents aren't around anymore. And then in comes the first big hurdle. The uncle's like, but I really think you could do more with the skills that you have. And he pulls out something interesting. Now, what he pulls out, I think people, maybe YouTubers and Redditors and comments, are going to go crazy over. If you know anything about Jehovah's Witness history, the fact that they have the guts to start talking and creating a discussion or a drama around something like this is insane, and actually makes me think that maybe my memories and whatnot, hopefully that has been changed, and hopefully it's not going to be a thing, because it is wild. The uncle pulls out a business contract and a party card for, you know, a political party from his pocket. Now, if you don't know why that's such a big deal, then you don't know enough about Jehovah's Witness history, I encourage you to look that up. There's some links, I think, on my website or JW Facts. But safe to say, Jehovah's Witnesses really should not be discussing this. Anyway, for the purposes of the story, he's got a party card, which means that there's a political leaning going on here, and that is bad for Jehovah's Witnesses. So when the uncle says, well, I can offer you some real security, I can get things going for you, there's a government carpentry contract come up. The father reacts obviously horrifically and is like, I'm never going to sign a party card. I'm never going to have anything like that. And you haven't signed one, have you? You would never do that. How could you do that? And it just gets really awkward. And the uncle tries to cover it up by basically saying, well, you're not working for them, you're working for me. So that gives you some distance and all of this. And he's like, it's guaranteed work. Dinner is ready at this perfect time. And they're like, join us for dinner. And then we're going to do family worship. And of course, the uncle's like, no, I don't want to stay for family worship. So he leaves. And he's like, just think about it. And then he adds, think about your family. Cut to after dinner, and we're at family worship. The old elder is here now, and the father opens by basically saying we're going to talk about Joseph, the biblical character. He was able to make peace with his brothers, criticizing his children for this football thing earlier. There's some children's jokes, and then the old elder gets involved, asks permission to kind of counsel the children, and then counsels the children, pulls out some Bible verses, links it into the theme of the drama about commitment to Jehovah, and basically is like, how long did Joseph endure in Egypt? They don't know. Turns out it's 13 years, he says. And for 13 years he prayed and he didn't know what was going on, but Jehovah loves patience and he loves obedience, etc., etc. And somehow that turns into, can we sing? We love singing for Jehovah. And they all just start singing kingdom songs, and it sounds cringe as hell. Meanwhile, the entire time, the cell phone, the gift, I don't know if I mentioned that, but the gift that the uncle gave the father was a cell phone, a smartphone. That's been sat on the side, kind of just lingering, letting it sink in for the father as a reminder of this contract and all of that. Then the children, one of them asks the father and mother, hey, what about uncle? Does he pray to Jehovah? Does he commit to Jehovah? And the mum's like, well, maybe, but we can't see into his heart. And then the father's like, yeah, he knows about Jehovah, but no one can make him love Jehovah. So then the old elder goes, yes, I actually helped raise basically your father and uncle, so these two brothers. I wish I could have done more for him, you know, wish I could have made him love Jehovah. And then the father's like, but we haven't given up on him yet. We can all pray for him, all of this. Lots of thoughts here. But just a note about this, we haven't given up on him yet. We haven't given up on him yet because he hasn't been formally disfellowshipped or disassociated, is what they mean. This person is doing things that are bad for Jehovah's Witnesses, obviously. But because he hasn't quite gone over the line yet, he's in this grey area for Jehovah's Witnesses where they talk about you behind your back constantly. Tell everyone you're a bad person to be around, you're bad association, you're lazy, you're not giving enough. But they can still talk to you and still try to guilt trip you into coming back. That's the grey area which Uncle seems to live in. Anyway, after all this, they decide they can't wait to read more of the Bible, so they get back and the kids ask to read more of the Bible, and it's a whole thing.
I think it's really important to capture kids when they're in high school.
We get shots of the African village again. We see the mother and daughter on ministry. We see the father-son on ministry, the elders in ministry. Cut to the next day, and we're back at the market, father-son setting up the stall. We start seeing more and more people in the opposition parties' T-shirts. And there's some more arguments going on about politics around them, but nothing really happens. On the way back from the market, they overhear some news that, you know, militias are threatening to overtake things, and there's going to be some violence coming. And the son asks about this, and the father reassures the son, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. This never turns into anything. It's just rumors. Don't worry. Then we get to the evening, and we see a text, I hope you're still considering the offer, from Uncle. And then another text from young elder saying, are you still coming to the elders meeting tonight? And he responds, I'll be there. So now we learn that the father is also an elder himself. Cut to elders meeting. Here there's lots of talking going on. And basically the concept is to show the audience of the drama that the elders have everything in control. So there's lots of stuff like, did you see the news reports? Did you see the violence? What are our plans? Who's going to do what? And then the young elder chimes up saying he's received word from the branch that they want to alert family heads to the possibility of fleeing the border, which also is crazy. This whole concept that elders are constantly thinking of backup plans and thinking of the safety of the congregation, and that the branch are on top of this kind of stuff too. It's really not the case. It's not like they've got some secret information that helps them keep on top of things. They read the news like everyone else and react to the news like everyone else. That's all that's happening. But they want to give Jehovah's Witnesses who view the drama the impression that you're safe in trusting the elders. You're safe in trusting the branch because they're always up to date, always on top of things. Interestingly, in the elders meeting, the father chimes up and says, well, have they advised us to do this, to think about fleeing, or are they telling us? And is kind of giving the impression that he is not just blindly believing what the branch is saying or trusting it. He wants to kind of do his own thing, which is the first time that we see him not lining up with perfect Jehovah's Witness teachings. Elders meeting continues, and it turns into a bit of a fight almost. Some people saying it's a whole thing and we've got to leave now. Other people saying no. And then old elder gets up and is like, please, brothers, remember, we all have different opinions, but we're one body. And this is, again, conveying that elders are peaceable and they're always in unison and whatnot. And that relaxes the whole elder body. And he tells them apparently that we have to expect these things because we're living in the time of the end and all of this classic Jehovah's Witness talk. Eventually, they agree that they need to think about exit strategies. The young elder gets out maps and starts planning things. And they're talking about groups that they can go in and who takes who and that kind of thing. Then we cut to the evening where the kids in the family are being put to bed. They're asleep. And in the next room, the father and mother are up. And the father's looking out the window thinking. And we get flashbacks to kind of his childhood where he and his brother, young at that age, they are running from soldiers and there's some screaming and they're calling out for their parents. And you kind of get the impression that this is maybe where their parents died. And it seems to be related to political turmoil. The mother puts her hand on the back of the father and we're snapped out of it. And we start talking about his childhood and how he ran for safety. But it turned out that things weren't what they appeared to be. And actually that conflict just passed really quick and it wasn't a big deal. And they didn't have to flee as much as they thought, which gives us now the context of why he was so apprehensive in the elders meeting. Meanwhile, the son is actually awake, it turns out, and he's hearing all of this mumbling and talking, and it's making him worried. He gets up and tries to hear more. Cut back to the parents, and the mother asks, does the branch think we need to flee? And the father's like, well, those brothers are so far away. They're being overly cautious. They don't know what they're talking about, this kind of thing. Is this decision really good for us specifically? And obviously for Jehovah's Witnesses, this is a no-go. You do not question the branch. You do not question authority. You believe it and you go. So the fact that he is questioning this indicates to us that things are going to go wrong for him because he's not blindly believing whatever the branch, the Bethel, tell him. The boy is hearing this as well. So, you know, actual real fathers in the audience watching the drama, this imaginary drama, will think, oh, I'm actually doing a disservice to my children if I question the branch, because then they will question the branch and it damages the family. It's a whole thing. So they start talking about why it's kind of not going to work for them to leave. You know, the old elder would probably come with them and he's really old. Could he make the journey? Where would they go? To a camp or something? And the father basically says, look, stuff like this always happens around elections. We always get stressed about it. There's always some hype. Nothing really comes from it. It's quite stable. When we shouldn't worry. And then he remembers the contract and he starts talking about that with his wife. And the wife's like, this is more money than we have ever seen ever. And maybe this is a blessing from Jehovah. He tries to convince her. He's like, you know, if we leave now, we can't fulfill this contract, so we wouldn't get that money. And we're trying to build a better future for our children. That's why we built this house. And this looks like the key to that. And this is kind of going on the narrative of don't think about the future, think about now. That's what Jehovah's Witnesses is like. Don't think about building an inheritance for your children. Don't think about trying to make their life better than yours was. Don't think about the future. Don't think about life insurance. Don't think about pensions. Don't think about any kind of preparation for the future because the world's going to end. Think about telling other people the world's going to end and other people should become Jehovah's Witnesses. Because anything else, any kind of preparation you're doing for the future, any kind of backup plans are bad. They're taking time away from you being a Jehovah's Witness, because that will make you start questioning things like this family and this imaginary drama that I have created. Anyway, the father and mother decide they're going to pray about it, and the son, who's been overhearing, goes back to bed, and he decides he's going to pray, and it's all just loads of prayer, and that's going to solve everything.
Let's say a little prayer for peace.
Then we cut to actually the young elder's home, and he's preparing his truck. He's getting water in it. He's getting Bible literature. He's preparing and doing what the branch said. And we see him being good, and bonus points for him for being the perfect witness. Then we see the father at his work in the garage or whatever, in the workshop. And he's working on the wooden sculptures that they sell or something. And you overhear on the news that actually peace talks have started. Everything's calming down. It's all going to be okay. And everything's going to be great. Uncle rings at this time, picks up the phone, and the uncle says, can you send me some photos of what you're selling at the market? Because this buyer, this contractor, he's there and we're going to meet and it's going to be great. And the father kind of insinuates that this is going through. He says something like, I could really use this right now. And the uncle jumps the gun and is like, great, it's all done, perfect, and kind of hangs up. Cut to the village the next day, and we see that someone is buying something from the family stall, and they're wearing a big political leader party t-shirt. So this has got a big picture. I think we were calling them Ben, right? The political leader. That's the t-shirt. It's like Ben for president or whatever. And that makes the father a little bit uncomfortable. I don't know what that's implying. Like Jehovah's Witnesses have to like survey all of their customers for their political leanings, or you're not meant to serve people who are too political looking. Seems like a weird thing to make the father uncomfortable about, maybe. Anyway, this opposition t-shirt exists, makes him uncomfortable. Then we cut back to the family home where the women are doing their household duties, and the old elder comes by looking for the father, and the mother's like, he's not here. The old elder starts talking about leaving, and the mother's like, wait, what? Why? Because everything's coming down. It's not going to be a big deal, right? Does the branch really think that? And the old elder's like, well, this is what I wanted to talk to the father about. Where is he? She's like, he's at the market. And he's like, okay, well, I'll come back. Jehovah's been so kind to us. We really look out for each other, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't want to talk to her, of course, because she's not the head of the house. So she has no right to be making family decisions, so isn't entitled to information. It's a whole Jehovah's Witness thing. But a key detail is that he lets on that families are deciding to definitely leave now. And that does make the mother a bit uncomfortable. Cut to, I think, a different day. And we're at the market. The whole family is at the market this time. The father and son are unloading their wooden stuff. It becomes apparent that the trolley's not there. The old elder, their favourite, who came for family worship, he's not there. And that's making the boy uncomfortable. He asks, And the mother's like, I don't know where he is actually, but everything continues. At the other end of the market, there's people wearing more political t-shirts and more posters are being put up, and everyone's wearing kind of similar dress to show they're all aligned in their thinking. And these are Ben supporters. They're arriving at the market, and it becomes apparent quite quickly that this is a crowd, something's going on. And that turns into a rally quite quickly. And so the father's like, look, we're leaving, pack up, son, we're going. The son's like, we just got here though. And he's like, no, we've got to go. As that's happened, Uncle shows up because he wanted to show, you know, the contractor and stuff. Uncle's there. He's like, hey, how's it going? There's some loud noises that are interrupting their conversation. So the crowd is getting rowdier and rowdier, but they keep talking. The crowd are calling out, Ben, Ben, Ben. And the uncle at this point turns to the father and is like, you need to meet this man. And the father's like, huh? And then the uncle starts going, Ben, Ben, Ben. And it turns out Ben, this political leader, is there and knows Uncle and is brought over. And he is the contractor. He's the one. This is a direct contract with the head, the political opponent. The father tries to stop it happening. He's like, no, I need to talk to you before this happens. But Ben shows up at the stall and Ben's like, so this is the person. This is the father who I've heard so much about. You're so talented. I can't wait to work with you. And things get a bit awkward. And in that awkwardness, Ben turns to the boy and is like, you're the future of our country. I'm so glad to see such a smiley face, this kind of thing. The father, basically, it's sinking in what he's doing, you know, not what a witness should be doing. And he says, I appreciate the offer, but I actually cannot accept it. And the uncle chimes up like, he doesn't know what he's saying. He's stressed out. That's not what he meant. Because Ben is visibly a bit annoyed, like, what the heck? The crowd are getting even louder. So he turns for a moment and puts on like a fake smile and waves to the crowd. But turns back and is like, no, this isn't something you can just pull out of. I'm counting on you. And the uncle and the father exchange some like awkward bad looks. And Ben turns to the uncle and is like, you said this was a done deal. And the uncle gets a bit nervous, but Ben walks off. The uncle says, how could you embarrass me like this? But before the father can really respond properly, something big happens. The demonstration gets even more like crazy, and people are like calling out names, and it's difficult to find people. And the young elder rings the father picks up, and the young elder goes, they're here, run, go now, go, go, go. And like, obviously that's super dramatic. So probably music change and panic. Because in that moment, the whole riotous crowd turn into this mob and stuff's going crazy. Trucks of people with huge guns show up. People are screaming, there's running, chaos. In this moment, the father's eyes go like wide and like realize, oh flip, we need to do something. Things start being set alight, political posters and things, there's fires going on. So the family meet up and turn to the uncle and like, look, you need to come with us right now. We need to go. And so the uncle is like basically in shock and just goes with them. And they flee this chaotic scene in the market and things are going nuts.
So, Professor, would you say it's time for everyone to panic? Yes, I would.
This like reaction shots of everyone like crying and like being scared and whatnot. And then we cut to the young elder who's in a truck driving out like quite a distance out of the city, and he's got the congregation members that he planned with him with the water and the books and everything, and they're on the road and they are safe. And the young elder looks in the rearview mirror and sees the chaos going on in the city and gets, you know, anxious, but they're safe, they're on the road. And also you see other people, non-witnesses, who for whatever reason don't have a car. They're like walking along the side of the road, they're leaving as well, and all of these people are leaving just like the branch indicated they should have. So they're safe, but we don't really know what's going on with the family. Maybe if anyone's hurt or injured, or if they're really safe, they're still in the city, how are they going to get out? All of this chaos, fade to black. And that is the end of part 1 of the drama for 2023 in my imaginary world.
All these pending lawsuits are exhausting. I need a holiday.
So just some final thoughts about the drama, especially if I'm watching that, if I've watched this at the convention as a JW. So one of the first thoughts I had was that this is happening to everyone. This is not an exclusive problem to Jehovah's Witnesses. It's not like only Jehovah's Witnesses are experiencing the turmoil of political instability. Everyone around them is as well. And everyone around them has the exact same information. The branch, the Bethel, the elders in the congregation, no one has special insight. No one has disaster training or any kind of reason to trust them over anyone else. But they seem to be indicating that the branch and the elders knew what was best from the get-go, and they had the whole thing under control. When really, the branch, the Bethel, the elders, they just look at the news, talk about the news, and decide what to do based on the news, like anyone else could have. Like in this instance, it turned out that the family heads, that the father's decision may not have been the best one, but it really was his decision to make. He didn't do anything wrong by saying, for my family, that doesn't work. He knows what's best. I mean, obviously the mother could have done that in the real world, but Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in that. The family know their situation, but it's portrayed in the drama as because they made a decision that wasn't exactly what the branch was suggesting, wasn't exactly what the elders were suggesting, it has caused them problems, and we don't know how that's going to transpire for them. Another thought was, we don't really know anything about Ben, this political leader. It could be that the government in power is really bad. They could be hurting people, torturing people, killing people. They could be doing all kinds of dangerous, harmful things, dangerous policies they could have. And Ben might be a really good person. Like, for all we know, he could be willing to overthrow everything to get a real functioning government in, maybe a democracy that's led by the people. They're going to go green. They're going to have enough food. He might be the one to fix everything. But we assume he's bad. And why do we do that? It's because Jehovah's Witnesses believe anyone involved in politics is bad or stupid, because only God can solve these issues. And I think that causes a lot of problems for people who leave Jehovah's Witnesses, because you're naturally disillusioned by politics. You don't think anyone can have the answers because that's what gets drilled into you. Any politician is bad. Any politician doesn't have the answers. They're all as bad as each other, they say. But really, we're making a huge leap. We don't know anything about this man. Even in the story, Uncle is really the issue here. He has lied seemingly to Ben about the stability of the contract. He's lied to the father a little bit. The father's also to blame. But the political leader gave a contract, heard it's a done deal, heard it might even be signed, and then got a little bit mad, potentially, when it wasn't. What was wrong with that? This guy could be great for all we know, but he's the villain in the story because he's a politician. So they're just some concluding thoughts I had in my mind. People might have others that might get analysed by other YouTubers or Redditors. But that concludes part 1 of the drama for 2023 that I have imagined. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe, because part 2 will be coming. Jehovah's Witnesses use that to lure you into coming back to the convention for another day. I'm doing it to lure you to another YouTube video. It's pretty cool to get in advance what maybe your relatives or other witnesses are going to be viewing in a few months' time. I think it's pretty cool. I will be checking the YouTube comments and my website for any comments that are left there. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Obviously, just a reminder, there are some things I cannot answer, some things I cannot help you with, but I will do my best to help out where I can. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in part 2, but until then, just stay healthy. See you then.